Coming up on Valley News Now, we did get a little snow yesterday in the Fargo area. Lisa's going to have an update on what we can expect throughout the day. Then we'll touch on the Fargo Convention Center as voters did approve the money to get it done. We'll have updates on where things stand right now. That's not the only thing. St. Patrick's Day is on the way. We're going to let you know everything you need to know before you head out for the pub crawl. Valley News Now is live. And thank you very much for joining us here on the desk today. Duke Schindler taking over here on this Tuesday, almost afternoon here, as we got a lot in store for you on your afternoon updates. And we'll start off with the weather, as we saw some snow last night, or at least I did where I was in South Fargo. But for a look at the rest of the day and what things are looking like, let's send things over to our meteorologist, Lisa Green.
Good morning. We are looking ahead to our next round of snow. A couple of shots of some light snow heading into the second part of the day today. We're going to see a disturbance north of us that may bring in a couple of isolated flakes up toward the Devil's Lake area, and then one developing and moving north from the south. In between, we will be a lot quieter. We're looking at temperatures today getting into the 20s and 30s this afternoon. And then here comes the snow into places like Alexandria, Wadena, Wahpeton, some of the same spots that got snow overnight last night, and some of those flakes again up toward the Devil's Lake area. This is the more substantial system, though, that'll be moving through kind of the heart of Minnesota into the nighttime hours for tonight before that clears away. So looking at very light amounts, up to about an inch of snow in some places in the southeast. Again, a lot of spots not seeing really anything. We can't rule out a shot of snow any day this week, but we do have first alert weather days for Thursday and Saturday for wintry systems bringing some wind.
All right, thank you very much there, Lisa. Now we dive into a little bit of our headlines here today, as Fargo is one step closer to building that convention center, and voters, well, they've already approved the money to build it. Fargo is, and 4 finalists are still in the running here. That's going to be Shields Arena, the Kilbourne Group Civic Center proposal, a site adjacent to Pruhala, then in addition to the Fargo Dome, as the committee is hearing presentations from all 4 groups coming on this week.
The idea is that the city makes investments like this in order to attract more people to town who boost the local economy through visitor spending, and then local businesses thrive.
Chair of the Convention Center, Charlie Johnson, who you just heard from there, says voters passed an additional 3% lodging tax in November of 2024 to fund the project, which is expected to generate between $40 and $41 million for construction. And that tax will not take effect until the official site is officially selected, meaning Fargo taxpayers will not pay a dime until a plan is in place. And we'll bring it back here as business owners are pushing back against a flavored nicotine ban proposed by Fargo Cass Public Health. Now, the recommendation would prevent the sale of flavored nicotine products within city limits. However, Fargo commissioners are now tabling the discussion after the June election to allow time for health officials and business owners, I should say, to find a compromise. Sports vape owner Zachary Johnson says law-abiding adult customers, I should say, shouldn't lose access to these legal products.
We shouldn't just be saying nobody can have this product just because some people are getting it that shouldn't.
Now, Johnson says since flavored vapes make up around 99% of his store's product, the ban may force him to relocate or even close. And Fargo police are sharing some safety recommendations and rules for this Saturday's St. Patrick's Day pub crawl. Now, Chief David Zabolski is reminding revelers that open container laws are still in effect in the city. That means taking an alcoholic beverage outside of the bars, even during a festive event, could land you in handcuffs. All right, and then it's about this time of year as well. Spring break is arriving for many travelers, whether it be students, adults, everyone kind of takes the time to get away, especially in these cold places. But travel may also be a concern for those who have plans to do some celebrating. We're going to send it over to Austin Caruso from Valley Today, who is at the Hector International Airport with more on what you should know heading into this break.
Many local universities as well as public school districts are on spring break or this week or even next week as well. And so TSA is expecting from pretty much now until March 24th is going to be like the peak season for travel for spring break. Now they are anticipating an increase of more than 4% compared to last year when it comes to traveling by air. U.S. airports are expecting over 170 million Americans to travel between now and April. So a few things to keep in mind while you are getting ready to go on your spring break vacation. It's important to pack smart, so make sure you are fitting TSA's regulations to get through security quickly, as well as arriving early. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time because, as I just mentioned, this is going to be a peak travel week as well as next week for spring break travel. So you want to give yourself plenty of time when coming back home and, of course, going to wherever it is you may be traveling to, as well as have a valid ID. So last month, just about in February, the TSA organized a new rule where travelers must have a real ID or they could still use a passport. So make sure you have the proper documentation so you can get through boarding and security quickly. So a travel expert is saying more people are going to be leaning towards keeping overall spending in mind this spring break season.
So people are still spending money on travel, but they're really going to be focused on value.
And so be patient while you are waiting in these lines. These lines could be long, despite if you're traveling here from Hector or anywhere else. Right now, Hector, all flights are expected to arrive on time as well as depart on time. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Austin. I haven't been one for traveling on spring break. My school didn't even have it when I was a kid. So even when you have these big travel days, weeks coming up, I always try to do it maybe the week before, week after, kind of spread things out so you're not paying top dollar for those tickets. Now for a look on what we saw on Valley Today this morning, let's swing it over to the gals, Tatum and Sophia, for a quick little rundown.
This morning on North Dakota Today, we talked about physical health with Vitalant and Coda Botanics, and then mental health with a brand new author.
Yes, we are so excited to get those clips on our website and on our Facebook, so go check those out. Also, don't miss Hot Mics with Tatum and Sophia tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. See you there.
All right, thank you very much, ladies. And yeah, make sure to tune into our website for all the content here on Valley Today as we kind of move into the end of the show here. And we're going to take a little bit of a peek at current road conditions because we did see some snow come over the night, and certainly something that I've seen at my apartment. I'm not sure if it traveled too far north of South Fargo, but we can certainly take a look at where things stand right now. Now, taking a look at the Minnesota side of things, looking pretty good. Seasonal good conditions all across the board here as we zoom out a little bit. Everything pretty much going up from Fargo to Grand Forks all the way down to Wahpeton, Elbow Lake area. Looking very good, or at the very least, seasonal. Taking a look at some cameras here. Let's see if we can't find a little action here before we move on to the Minnesota side of things. Right here we see a little bit of coverage. That's going to be partially covered roads, that blue stripe you see right here. Right near Glendon, Hawley, and heading just outside of Dilworth here. So let's see if we can not find any action here. Otherwise, we'll move on over to the North Dakota side of things. Yep, not too much going here around the area as we cross the border to Minnesota. So let's take a look at where things stand in North Dakota. give it a little refresh here, get the most timely updates. As you can see through the Fargo area, pretty good, pretty seasonal conditions. That's what that green is going to mean there. But once you get south of Fargo, a little bit near Wahpeton, you see that there are still snow-covered roads in that area. A little bit of striped blue, as you can see, or maybe not as you can see, but on this key here, that's going to be scattered wet conditions, slushy conditions. And our striped yellow can be scattered ice around the area. So let's take a look and not see if we can't find any cameras here to look at and see really where this action is and how things are looking here. We'll go towards Wahpeton on 29. So this is what's supposed to be, let me make sure I got the key right, snow-covered roads here at this time. Not looking too bad. You got a little bit of coverage here if you're in that area around Wahpeton on the North Dakota side of things. Yeah, you see some snow-covered roads, but nothing that looks too slick here as we move a little closer to Morton. See how that's looking. North Dakota 13, yeah, a little bit of coverage here. There is definitely some coverage right there. So yeah, if you're near North Dakota 13, near Morton, that's going to be a little bit of what you see out there right now. Could be some slick conditions. Looks a little slushy there. If anyone in the comments on Facebook from the area or is around that area can chime in and let us know how actually icy these roads are. Feel free to drop a comment in our live feed here. Otherwise, not looking too bad, especially after getting some snow here. So we'll move on up. Get a little bit closer to Castleton. This could be on 94 here. You do see a little bit of that striped blue, which would be scattered wet, slushy conditions, but really nothing going on 94 at this time. But I did see a little bit of action there near Valley City, Jamestown area. Let's take a look. This is what's supposed to be scattered wet, slushy conditions. Now, if you get a little bit off the road, get taken a little bit by this snow right here, yeah, that certainly can, I guess, would you call it that hydroplaning? Some risk there as we move into move out of Valley City, I should say, and move closer to Jamestown. We're still on I-94 right here. Picture was snapped at 11:02, so just a little over 10 minutes ago. Yeah, there's a little bit of coverage right there. Maybe that sun is doing a little work, melting some of these roads, but not looking too bad as we keep moving through these pictures. And of course, the DOT is going to take extra caution here. So roads may not look wet or slushy. You can see some of that wetness and moisture stick around on these roads. Thankfully, that sun is out, so it can hopefully just stay wet and not turn to ice. But otherwise, just kind of moving out of the area. Not looking too bad overall. That sun is definitely doing some really Mother Nature's work out there. Let's just say that. But that's a look at your road conditions right now here, and thank you very much for joining us here on the Valley News Now late morning update. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have a smartphone mobile device, make sure you have the VNL app downloaded on that. Android and Apple available on that. Then if you got a smart TV like the one behind me, you probably can get the VNL app on there as well. All you have to do is hit the App Store. If you have a Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV, they are all available for VNL. So make sure you grab that app so you can never miss another morning update here with Duke Schindler, as I'm sure everyone is really excited to see. Thank you very much for joining us here on the stream. For Duke Schindler,